Guys, welcome to the channel. Sonny here, and today we have another Global Lab update. And shout out to Black Desert Foundry. Link is in the description as always. Tansy coming out here doing quick updates. Now, a quick note about Global Lab. It looks to be that they are changing the update of the patch. Usually it happens many hours prior, but it's going to be happening around noon to 1 p.m. Central European time. Shouldn't change too much for you guys watching this, but if anyone that's looking for the updates, it's going to be delayed going forward, it seems. Now today, the 17th, we have some changes here. Most of these changes should be out in Korea on Wednesday, and we should get them in the rest of the world the following week. However, whenever we're talking about the class changes, that might be bundled up in a big patch in the future. However, last week's update is hit Korea this week. We should get the add-ons and everything on Wednesday, so that's very exciting. Now, let's just go through this real quick. War of the Roses, they're doing another round of testing in Korea. It doesn't really matter too much what those changes are, because we won't even really see it until it's finally done, but they're making some adjustments to the siege weapons, etc, etc. Then, huge change. Arena of Solar. They are now adding practice matches, Arena of Solar practice matches, and custom games has been added. So they might already be out, not this Wednesday, but the next week, so in 12 days from today. They might be out globally. Excited for that. Now, this is a really cool thing, and we did not expect the thing coming up here. There are no separate rewards for custom games, but win-loss rewards have been added to practice matches. So if you just go in and you play your practice matches, you can actually get really good rewards. When we first read through this here live on the stream at Twitch.tv/bprimegaming, I was like, well, we've got like 10 million for a win. That's great. You get a lot more. They're actually really, really cool, those changes. So they're not still going to be insane. It's not like you're going to make hundreds of millions of silver per hour or anything like that. But considering it's just a practice for fun, this is really good. So when a season begins in the future, we plan to earn higher profits from ranked matches, as should be. Another thing here, during the practice period, all equipment has been unlocked, so you don't have to earn these seals and unlock equipment when you play practice mode. You have all the gear available to you from your first match. Much needed change. And then, important note here, there will be continuous changes in the future for adventurers who enjoy PvP content. They also talked about RBF at the Dev Talk earlier this month. So I definitely expect to see some RBF changes going forward as well. Now let's take a look at the actual changes to Arena of Solar. They're going to have the practice mode available, but it will be available every day. And it looks to be a permanent addition. So even when there's no ranked season going on, there should be practice matches available. Comparing to existing practice matches, been changed to match members with similar skills. So they're adding a matchmaking system and ELO MMR ranking to practice as well. The maps that we're keeping is actually a huge W. It's all the playable maps and none of the terrible maps. So we got the Ruin of Soul. We have Olan's Valley. We have the Mancham Forest. We have Gaifin Temple. We have Jade Forest. And we have the Reed Fields from the latest season. Now let's take a look at the rewards. If you win, you can get 20 seals. A draw will give you 10, and a loss will give you 5 seals. And what you get from these seals? Well, I'm glad you asked. This. So of course, all these things are subject to change before they hit the live servers, but this is what they are right now. Meaning that with one win, you will be able to get 60 green whale tendons or 20 blue whale tendons. Pretty crazy rewards, actually. On NA, those are like, let me check, 2.6 million each. They're like 2.8 million each for the blue ones. So pretty substantial income here. You can also get money fuel, 15 tokens for Perfume of Courage, Calc or a Deep Sea. You also have some daily exchanges where you can exchange 20 tokens, which is 1 win, for one of the 3 essence. You can get all 3, I assume. You also have a weekly exchange where you can get 3 loot scrolls, some Immortal Earl, and you have a one-time family one here, where if you want to save up for a weapon exchange, then you can do that. It's 5k each, it's very expensive, but definitely worth it for just a practice mode where you're supposed to go in and play for some fun. The fact that they're actually adding these kind of rewards. And remember, this is practice modes. There are going to be even bigger rewards for the ranking stuff. If this is the baseline they're doing for, again, practice 3v3, then I'm really excited to see what's going to happen for RBF and other things like that. So this is a great step in the right direction for giving good, tangible rewards for PvP. I'm happy to see this. Next up, they're changing some of the crystals here and gear. The flame crystal is going to give 15 regen, 250 more HP on the Pilgrim's crystal. They are removing the 2% ignore resistance and adding 2 AP instead on the temporal spirit crystal, and they are making Runner's Ring a Tet accessory instead of the Tri accessory. So the Runner's Ring is going to be a really, really powerful item here. In other words, they are basically buffing survivability a bit. Now, another cool thing that we've been asking for and looking forward to is costume matches. So this will allow us to host and participate in Arena of Solar tournaments and PvP matches in the future, instead of having to use Arena of Asher and then trial characters. This is finally a real way of having good, more balanced 3v3 tournaments going forward. So I'm super excited to see what this will lead to. Also, the community can now host these, and it will actually be even. It's not like with Arena of Asher, where you're gonna have to do your journals and all that, and there's a big difference, and crystals work and etc. So this is huge, really, really huge. One of the best changes I've seen for PvP in a long time. Next up is some market changes. They're adding Kuranda Heart and Kudum Heart, which they talked about at the Dev Talk earlier this month. The starting price is going to be 100 mil each, and the absolute minimum is 50, and maximum is 500 mil in silver per Kuranda or Kudum Heart. Awesome little addition, so people out there with multiple, they can sell them, get a bit of silver, and some of us can perhaps get our Kuranda Heart for our life scaling ult, finally. They're also changing the amount of items you can buy. There's a lot of items where you can only buy like 10, 100 off, and they are increasing that. You can see the full list here. You got memory fragments and all is going to be 500, light stones as well. You got your processing stuff, that's going to be 1,000. Heifer stones is going to be 2,000. Again, assuming there's some on the market to begin with. Cooking and elixirs as well, and plywood all 3k. Basic materials are going to be 5k, and also you can check the full list in the description. They're changing latent boss hours as well, which was also talked about. You can now turn them in at these NPCs. And each of these NPCs will take all of the auras, so you don't have to run around the world. You can just go to one, turn all of them in. They're doing another change as well, and they are allowing you to exchange 100 hours for boss equipment as many times as you want. So it's no longer a one-time thing. So if you have 1,000 Saka auras, you can now make 10 Saka weapons. You would never want to do that, but you could. And also, you don't have to make the boss turn in anymore to get the memory fragments. So basically, a boss item would require the same as 100 memory fragments, which currently is around 350 million silver in most regions, right? And the boss items are like 200 to 250 million silver. So it's actually better value to just go for the memory fragments at the moment, but that might change in the future. But now they're no longer gatekeeping each other. So you can just turn them in. Really nice little quality of life change. They are making some much needed improvements to Black Shrine, the Black Shrine, the boss rush. The attack judgments of the bosses are going to be more precise. So many of these do not actually match the hit indication. So this is a much needed change. Hopefully they're now actually going to be, so you're outside of the line, you're fine. We'll have to wait and see how it actually does. Furthermore, they did some updates to the Pig King, which is one of the most buggy bosses there are. The hits are going to be more precise. The damage is going to be, it's going to get nerfed between 33 and 66% of before, depending on which attacks it's using. Also, they are changing the multi-hits to be one big hit, which means that's a nerf to the boss. As you don't have to dodge like a long animation of hits, you just have to dodge right when it does the hit, and then you can DPS. So this should increase your DPS uptime a lot on the boss as well. Also fixed some issues where the patterns were not appropriately showing, and the attack range has also been reduced on attacks like the swinging sword. On the ocean content, this is a big update. We should be getting this on Wednesday. The new ocean boss. So I covered that in last week's patch notes. Korea got this already. It's the boss that spawns and gives you the items to make the Manos riding crop, the sailing Manos item to increase your sailing speed and EXP and mastery. They're going to keep the drop chance at 100%. They're going to make it spawn 1 hour after it's killed. Whenever the boss is killed, there'll be a notification on the server. So you can time it and know 1 hour from now, the next boss will spawn. Currently, it's spawning between 1 and 5 hours after it's killed. So they're going to make that consistent so you can get them more often and you can guarantee being there for the kills. However, because of that, they're nerfing the drops from the boss slightly. We don't have the numbers on the nerf, but they're nerfing it. However, they're still keeping the Manos item at 100% drop rate. So this should be a lot better than this right now. They're changing Lara's daily quest to be a weekly quest. And you basically turn 7 times in and you get 7 times rewards. So instead of doing it 7 times every single day, you just do it once a week and you get the same total rewards. Great change, you love to see it. Now this is a huge change. This is one of those we saw on Reddit, suggested a while ago now. And somehow it made it to PA and PA actually implemented it. One adventurer developed the idea of overlapping the node pack function with a skill cooldown icon and added a function to write notes directly on skill cooldowns. So whenever you go into your skill cooldown here, you can set which cooldown slot it's on, and then you can write a note. And this is how it looks. So in game, you will be able to, when you're learning a new class or something, previously we literally opened the in-game notepad and wrote down the combos. Now you can write here the actual input of the abilities underneath it or whatever else you want to write. It could also be you write like front guard or super armor, or iframe or CCs on those abilities if you're learning the abilities and what they do in PvP later on. So you can customize this however you want and it will show up with your note underneath the abilities. Amazing update, super cool. I'm excited for this. I will probably never use it myself. But if I were to learn a new class, this would be a godsend. Great change. And shout out to that adventurer that suggested it. I definitely remember reading this on a Reddit post. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Next up here is the Black Spirit Adventure Board improvements. When Jay first talked about this, I understood it that they weren't going to do it, but looks like they are. Black Spirit Adventurer's Dice automatic rolling feature has been added. By using the sticker UI, you can proceed with the Black Spirit Adventure while playing the game. I hope this will be helpful to adventurers who may have been at loss due to the accumulator of dice. So I just checked mine today. I have 900 dice at the moment and like 450 completions. So, and function has been added so you can automatically get the game to roll your dice. And yeah, if you go for the sticker, you can actually play the game while doing it. You can do it while you're cooking or fishing or live skilling or whatever. Move it out of the way and you can actually roll them. Now, I should make a quick note about this sticker stuff. So what you actually can do with this, and when they say you can use it while playing the game, if you go in here, and let's say you're looking on your inventory, you have this sticker UI here. If you click this, you guys probably can't see it right now because it gets removed. But whenever you do this, you can actually drag it off screen. So right now, I just dragged it off screen. It's on my second monitor. You should be able to do that with the dice game as well. So you can actually just play the game while the dice are rolled. You don't have to stand AFK cooking. So nice little feature for the people like me that has way too many dice saved up. Another nice addition here for newer players trying to learn the game. They have added a cooldown over here on the skill suggestions. So whenever you pick up the game or you make a new character, you will get a skill guide pop up like this. And they added a cooldown on abilities used directly into it. So it's a lot easier instead of having to set up your UI and drag cooldowns onto your UI and all that. Now it will just be there right away. and it should be a lot easier to then pick it up. Great, small addition, we love to see it. Another great quality of line, the green thumb minigame, it has been improved so that it closes immediately after success. Currently, whenever you complete the minigame, it's like 2-3 seconds before it closes down, before it can start gathering again. Now it's going to close right away and can start gathering instantly. Other changes, the placements of monsters close to trees and as far as been modified. We have the items here. This is the new pearl fence you can buy. If you are master 1, you can take the fence and go to Villia and exchange it from the big tent plot to the small tent plot, the old moon fence I think it's called. So you can do that in Villia if you're master 1. And now they're doing so you can change it back to the big one if you so need to for whatever reason. You can't actually right now, so that's the change they're making there. They're also changing the Snowfeeder sap tree to be more unique, so you can identify them better. And then a bunch of bug fixes. Basically, this is items clipping and things like that. It's mostly like visual stuff and lines of text. Now we got to the big change here for this week. We are doing round 2 of the PvE updates. And last week we had the first round, which was the add-on changes. Now the add-on changes made it to live in Korea this week, which means we will get them on Wednesday. And that would also indicate there's a chance that they won't bundle up all these changes and just give them out running. Now there's a lot of information in this blue text here, so I'm going to read it. Hang around, there's a lot of good information about the stuff happening as well, and PvP changes also. So, today's patch. The attack range and damage of some classes' skills and abilities have been adjusted. The direction of the update is to prioritize the range of some difficult to use skills in consideration of the class behavior and characteristics, and fine-tuning the skill range is difficult to adjust in a way that grants corresponding damage. The second adjustment of PvE balance is in progress, and matters such as defense adjustments, protections, super armor front guards, range on attacks, accuracy and evasion are also being considered. So we'll probably see more next week. These factors will inevitably affect PvP situations as well. So starting next week, PvP balance adjustments will also be made. So, of course, there's some of these things here with AoE sizes that affects PvP, but not as much as, say, protections and all that. So, already next week, we'll see some changes that are going to be heavily affecting PvP. So, that should be exciting. They are still doing damage adjustment, and today we're actually seeing some damage buffs and nerfs of some of the classes, and we'll cover those here in a second. In addition, along with the PvE-PvP balance adjustments, the accuracy and evasion power of monsters will also be adjusted so that accuracy and evasion of each class can be used meaningful in the grinding spots. Currently, in the newest endgame spots, evasion basically doesn't work. The mobs have more or less 100% hit rate, so they're gonna make it a bit so the people with, say, full evasion gear and full DR gear when you're grinding the new spots should hopefully be similarly in tankiness. Unlike PvP balance is a relative adjustment between classes rather than absolute adjustment with mobs' abilities. Basically, if you buff one class, well, it technically nerfs other classes. Because now this class is going to be stronger against some of them, and then maybe those fall out of the meta, and that affects another class, and so on and so forth. So it's not just like you versus the mobs, it's you versus all the classes, and then how does that affect those classes in terms of their performance against other classes? So it's a lot more complex, and that's why they'll probably do hopefully smaller adjustments. Therefore, temporary adjustments, such as simply adjusting the range or damage amount, may confuse many adventurers, so time is needed for more stable testing and updates. Right, so basically, a change might look small or whatever, but it can have a big impact, so I think that's what they're saying. They're going to make the adjustments, and then they'll see what happens over time, and they'll make some further adjustments. For example, as work currently being prepared, effect work will increase the range is also being carried out in parallel. If the range is simply changed without changing the effects, there may be cases where both the attacker and the target won't recognize the attack. So that's the visuals, right? So if you increase the AoE size of an ability, they also need to go in and actually update the visuals of that ability to match the real size of the hit. So that's also gonna take some time. But they're starting already next week. So don't forget to tune in if you guys want to be here when we read this live and do a deep dive. I'm excited for next week. Therefore, work is being done on the effects and skills with increased range, and work is also being done to complement areas where the effects and judgment of existing skills do not match. And we see some of those today. In addition, when we first started balancing, we said that rather than nerfing Wusa, which had a really good grinding efficiency at the time, they would proceed by upgrading, buffing other classes that were lacking. In this process, such as reorganizing skill add-ons and increasing damage, etc., we are working on improving the areas where grinding efficiency on the surface is more noticeable. Okay, yeah, so they're still basically making PvE adjustments, is what they're saying. After the first PvE adjustments and skill add-ons were reorganized, we have greatly encouraged by the feedback we've received from adventurers. Thank you. We will review it more closely so many adventurers can have more fun playing it. Looking great. Yeah. So first off, Sork. On the main hand skill, you have these abilities here, getting some damage buffs. I'm not entirely sure if this is just the regular absolute skills or if this is the prime. I think this is the absolute skills, the regular versions. I don't know how much they're used, so I really don't know how impactful this here is on Sork, but it's some pretty substantial damage increases on these abilities. Oh, those are Rabams. Okay. So these are the Rabams, I guess. Okay, gotcha. So they're used for all. Awakening. They are on Grim Reaper. The issue where additional charge effects was not applied when using Grim Reaper adjustment skill, while the Grim Reaper skill has been fixed. Accordingly, if you use the Grim Reaper skill while in the state, you will immediately be able to collect additional pieces without. So that's the shot, right? Blade of Darkness. Change to attack at a faster intervals than before. According to the description of the max hits, a description of the maximum of hits that can be hit has been added. So it should just attack faster. That's about it. Now for Awakening, they're also doing some damage buffs here. I believe it was this like 15% damage? It's around 15% damage increase, I believe, on Awakening skills. Yeah. Now let's get to the big stuff. Succession Tamer is... It's gonna be big. It's gonna be big. You know it's crazy when the Tamer community is happy about changes to their class. Then you know it's gonna be absolutely giga. So this right here, it might be one to watch for anyone that's been considering playing Tamer. Succession Tamer is getting really nice changes here. The attack range has been increased on Bolt Wave, and also attack range has been increased on the Prime Bolt Wave and Jolt Wave, further moving forward to the base. So before the change, as you can see here, the AoE is just around this circle here on the first hit, and it only hits right at the end, right? So that's the way it is live. This is how it is now. So you see the AoE already hitting on the first hit. It's a bit more forward, so you can see it loses a bit on the backwards AoE size, but it's way bigger and it starts way further. So it literally hits right at the max range on the first AoE. Huge change. And this will affect both PvP and PvE, right? On Upward Claw, the one-hit attack range has been increased as well, so they also buffed the range on this. On Resonance, the final hit of Resonance has been removed and damage has been adjusted. And then they also got some damage buffs here. I believe this was between 10 and 15% damage. This right here is a 30% damage increase on Jolt Stab. This one here is like a 25-ish. But the other ones should be around 10 and 15% damage increases on a class that already had really crazy DPS combos. With the additional AoE sides, this might be really good. I'm excited to see some numbers next week out of Korea. I'm sure we're going to be able to find some Tamers. For Awakening Tamer, they increased the range on Beast Rampage. So you have here before the change. and after the change here. So it's a bit more forward as well. So it doesn't hit this guy here in the first attack. It's a big AoE in front of you. Whereas here it was like around you. You also have all around spinner, where the attack range has been moved to move forward position based on character. And then fixed the issue where attack range was smaller than the effect range of Soaring Skill. So this also means they buffed the attack AoE size on Soaring Strike. So that's it for Awakening. It's increased AoE size on Beast and Rampage, all around spinner, and on Flow Soaring Strike. On Sock Maver, they are doing the same thing with Whirlwind Cut and Ultimate Whirlwind Cut. They are making the AoE bigger and more in front. So basically similar to these abilities you saw up here. We don't have videos of those, unfortunately, but it should be in the same degree and same vein. On Red Divider, it's been changed. The attack range of skill has increased. Changed so that stamina is not consumed when using the skill. So this would be a stamina buff to Sock Maver. And it's been changed to only attack up to 7 times. There's nothing about the damage, so potentially the damage is the same. I'm not sure. For Valkyrie, there is only a change to Purification, both for the Prime and for the Awakening version. The attack range have been increased. And as you can see here, this is the old version where it's just a small, and here on the new one, it's a big circular AoE. Quite a bit bigger and also more easily visual. Next up is that they're changing how the damage is applied. So it's going to be like one big nuke and not depending on positioning. And then this change here, it looks to be that it will now use the heal instantly. My understanding is that currently the heal is applied with a bit of a delay compared to when you use the ability and hit somebody. Now it should apply the heal as soon as the hit is applied, so instant heal. And that's the only change to Valkyrie now. I was actually expecting more AoE changes to Sock, but it might be coming in the next patch, who knows. Succession Kuno, let's go! Fixed the issue where the attack range of Fatal Blow combo was applied differently, and it's been corrected. So it's probably going to be an AoE size as well to Fatal Blow. Foxclaw is getting an AoE buff as well. The attack range of first hit and additional hits have been changed to be the same. So that's going to be a buff, so it all applies in the same AoE size. Shadow Explosion has had the cooldown reduced by 1 second. And then it's been changed to be an insta attack as well, instead of a max hit ability. So it should be faster. It should be a speed up as well of this ability. For Christian Slash, the description where it's been reduced during cooldown has been changed to more detailed. And then we have some damage buffs here. This one is getting like a pretty big damage increase, but it's not that much. To begin with, it's not a big nuke, so it's fine. And then the rest of the abilities here, Flash, Shadow Explosion, and Wheel of Wrath, getting some damage increases as well. I do want to point out that this here is going from a 16 hitter to a 10 hitter, but it's a 10% damage increase, I believe. When it's all math out, 10%, this one here is around 10% as well. And this here is going to be, I think it's 10% as well. Or 5%. So some damage increase on top of the AoE size. And Awakening Kuno. So anyway, Sock Ninja. They have fixed the Fatal Blow again. More AoE on Fatal Blow. Foxclaw, the same max AoE size on that. And that's the only change to Sock Ninja. For Witch and Wizard Succession, they are increasing the AoE size on Meteor Shower Focus. They are also increasing the damage across the board by, I want to say it was 10 to 20%. Yeah, pretty much like 10 to 20% damage here on the Sock Witch and Wizard kit, which will probably be enough. I don't think it's actually missing that much right now, especially for some grind spots. It's super good at places like Tongred and Gyfen, but there are other areas where it does have problems. So this is some really nice damage increases on Sock, Witch, and Wizard. Now we get to the other side of things, and I do note that whenever we're talking about nerfs, people get real emotional. So before we get to the next couple of classes here, where we're actually seeing some nerfs in PvE following the buffs, these classes were looking to be overperforming. And the goal of these changes were to make classes as good as Sock Wusa. So the classes that are suddenly overperforming would need some slight downwards adjustments. So they got buffed and then they got toned down a bit. They're not back to where they were. They're still way better off compared to the pre-rework and everything. And these classes were actually overperforming quite significantly. Now let's take a look here. So Awakening Wizard is getting some nerfs. And this is slight adjustments. So first off here, we got Aqua Gel. Let's do some quick math on this one here. So this is a 12% damage nerf. 12% damage nerf on this. And on Chilling Wave, it's a 15% damage nerf, right? So like a 12 and a 15% damage nerf. It's still way better than it was before the buffs. Now the other two abilities, your Hellfire and your Cataclysm. Now these nerfs are kind of big, right? These right here are 15% damage nerfs. However, these are not the actual abilities. These are the flows of them. So the flow, basically the pet attack, it already has issues in terms of the scaling. It has lower crit, and it's not the main ability getting nerfed. So the numbers look bigger than they are. It is only a part of the attack on these two abilities. So it's not really as bad as people are making out to be. And the class was overperforming. Awakening Wizard was probably the second best class in the game at PvE. After the buffs, only being crossed by Lan. So this here is probably going to bring it down to around where Awakening Witch is, which is still an S tier class. And I don't think there's going to be an issue. Yeah, no, I think this is it's actually looking totally fine. Now, next up, and note this is one that might be crazy, but Awakening DK is also getting nerfed. And we did the numbers. It's 8% nerf across the board on Awakening DK. It's not really a surprise to me because I had heard whispers. This was one of the classes I was getting a lot of people talking about. And it was really looking to actually be overperforming as well. So I'm honestly not too surprised. It does hurt a bit when your class has been down bad for a while. It got really giga buffs and it was, well, clearly overperforming and it's getting some nerfs. It's still gonna be great. A lot of people here that play the class are like, yeah, this is gonna be fine. So it's still looking to be an absolutely super good PvE class. It's just not gonna be turbo overtuned. So it's an 8% damage nerf across the board. Next up, we got some Striker. It's getting buffed. Hold your horses. Sock Striker is getting AoE size increases on Savage Fang. It's also getting AoE size increases on Venom Fang and Final Blow. Also for the Spirit Release. And Rampaging Predator is also getting an AoE size increase, basically unifying to the largest AoE. So that's good. Mystic Succession is getting some very, very, very good buffs here. We're getting some attack range increase on Fist of the Fury. And we're getting damage increases. I believe this was around 13 to 15% damage increases on most of the kit here. So Mystic might be looking really, really good. And then we have Awakening down here. I think the average was around 15% damage increase. There are some that are bigger damage increases, but I believe the math was around 15% average damage increase on Awakening Mystic. And finally, we have Lan. And Succession Lan is getting some nerfs. I think it was 10%, 50%, and 10%. It's around that as well here on the nerf. It's on the 3 big hits for Succession Lan. Succession Lan was easily the #1 PvE class after these changes. It got completely overtuned. I still don't understand how it made it live, but as I told all of you guys, if those changes made it live, tag it on day 1 and abuse it until it gets nerfed, because it's gonna get nerfed. And it is. This will still probably be a super great grinder, probably still gonna be S tier. It was just leaps and bounds above everything. So much needed downwards adjustments. Let's go with that. We got some Awakening changes here as well. We're getting some buffs on Awakening. The attack of Bleeding Hearts have been changed to apply more probably to production, and then maximum has been removed, so it's going to be like a one hit as well. They're changing the attack power here from being plus 10 to being plus 16, and then we get some damage buffs across the board for Awakening Lan. So that should be nice. And then I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for the Sock Megu buffs, and maybe next week. Yeah. See you in the next one.